Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, the story just got even bigger. The Trump Department of Justice has now formally charged Cole Thomas Allen with attempted assassination of the President of the United States. And that means this is no longer rumor, chaos, or media spin. This is a federal case with life in prison on the table. But here's where it gets explosive. While the DOJ moves with force, Democrats and their media allies are already scrambling to twist the blame, downplay the climate they created, and dodge responsibility. The suspect is charged. President Trump is standing strong, and now America is asking the question the establishment does not want answered. Now, why does this matter? Because when political violence is normalized against a sitting president, nobody's freedom is safe. If the left can spend years painting President Trump as some evil force to be stopped at any cost, then feigning shock when deranged action follows is not dishonest, it's dangerous. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche made it plain. Law enforcement did its job. Federal agents stood between the gunman and the president, and the system responded exactly as it should. So that's a win for the rule of law and a tribute to the professionals who protected President Trump. And look what happened next. President Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump were back on the South Lawn with King Charles and Queen Camilla calmly visiting the new White House garden beehive. You see, that image matters. Strength, stability, resolve. America does not bow to terror, and President Trump is showing the world exactly what leadership under pressure looks like while the left melts down and points fingers everywhere but at itself. Now, before we go any further, there's another major America First development tonight tied directly to national security and President Trump's push to rebuild real independence. The White House has just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chains and named a specific Alaskan project as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. Now, I've been to the Vizsla Copper drilling site in Canada myself. I've seen it with my own eyes. What's happening right now in Alaska is bigger than most people realize. President Trump just unveiled Project Vault, a $12 billion strategic minerals reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America strong when foreign supply lines get squeezed. That puts serious attention on companies positioned in the path of this push, including Vizsla Copper, traded in the United States under VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. It's on your screen there. Now, if you want the details on why this matters now, check the exclusive briefing linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers to see why this America First resource play, what it could mean. Now back to the political firestorm, because the charging document may be just the beginning of the real national reckoning. See, here's the part that should infuriate every decent American. Instead of condemning the culture that keeps targeting President Trump, one Democratic congressman actually suggested Trump's own approval number somehow fueled the assassination attempts against him. I mean, think how sick that is. The victim gets blamed, while the people who spent years demonizing demand immunity from criticism. And then Hakeem Jeffries doubling down on his own war language, saying he stands by his calls for maximum warfare against Republicans. That is not cooling tension, that is pouring gasoline right on it. Here's the moment that it all went down. The Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announcing the federal charges.
Make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain. But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law. Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen. The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed.
Betcha he's thinking twice now. The DOJ calling it what it is, attempted assassination of a sitting president. Democrats still can't help themselves. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi is getting hammered for trying to pin the violence on Trump, blaming Trump for all the assassination attempts against him. Listen to this.
Tremendous, as you can understand, concern given the threat levels that are going up in part because of the president and now 3 assassination attempts on him, his very low approval ratings, which unfortunately fuel a lot of disaffection.
Can you believe they just won't quit? After that disgraceful blame shift, here's the bigger question. Who's been feeding this position for years? Gutfeld laying it out, names the media voices and left-wing politicians he says helped radicalize the shooter. Gutfeld delivering the single most succinct and cutting indictment of the left-wing media complicity. This guy did hear voices.
Terrorism that you say, well, now we'll never know. What could it possibly be?
Well, they're running away from this story because they know they got their fingerprints all over it. I disagree with Harold with all due respect. A call for unity is not for us. We don't need it.
He called for it, though.
No, I'm just saying that it's not for me to hear. It's for your side. We don't need it because it's only a one-way thing. You mentioned some examples like the Pelosi thing, which is a mental illness thing. The Wisconsin thing, we still aren't sure what the hell happened there. The Whitmer thing was a plot. Who created the plot? That would take an entire special to go under. I disagree with Jesse. This guy did hear voices. They were Tim Waltz's, they were Ted Lieu's, they were Brandon Johnson's, they were CNN's, they were The View, they were MS Now. Okay. I think this is a helpful assassination attempt because it is the first one to show that you can be radicalized by liberal smugness.
He did hear voices. They were the voices of Ted Lieu, Brandon Johnson, the voice of CNN. They were the voice of The View. They were MS Now. Perfectly said. His point is simple. Reckless rhetoric has real targets, and Trump keeps moving forward anyway. Now, a very different picture following the insanity of the weekend. President Trump and the First Lady walk on the South Lawn with King Charles and Queen Camilla to visit the new beehive in the Washington Garden. Chaos to a peaceful walk. The contrast couldn't be more clear. After that White House moment, here's a concrete next step from Capitol Hill. Senator Rand Paul says he's all in on the White House ballroom project and plans to push it by unanimous consent. Saying, I was a proud yes on April 2nd and look forward to moving the White House ballroom project forward. I will ask to pass my bill by unanimous consent tomorrow. Rand Paul stepping up, talking about moving the project forward while Democrats are back to the usual war talk. Hakeem Jeffries, visibly rattled, doubles down on his call for maximum warfare against Republicans.
It relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
Yeah, he couched it there. In regards to the redistricting, it's the rhetoric, man. It's the rhetoric that you are contributing to. So the courtroom case is against one man, but the moral case is against an entire machine. A machine of Democrat politicians, media activists, and smug TV scolds who spent years telling unstable people that President Trump was an emergency, a threat, a monster who had to be stopped. Gutfeld said it clear. This was radicalization by liberal smugness. Harsh, maybe? True, absolutely. But when the left says fight everywhere all the time, when they sneer at Trump, that he's illegitimate, when they turn hatred into a daily product, they don't get to wash their hands when violence shows up. President Trump survived. The system held. But the people who poisoned the culture are exposed tonight for all of America to see. So here's the bottom line. The Trump administration is prosecuting the case. Law enforcement protected the president. President Trump is doing what strong leaders do. They move forward, they stand tall, and refuse to let violence dictate the future of the country. Meanwhile, Democrats are telling themselves one side is defending order, accountability, and national strength. The other side is playing word games after years of reckless rhetoric. And yes, America's moving ahead. Senator Rand Paul says that he was a proud yes on April 2nd and wants to move the White House ballroom project forward. That's the right message. Build, lead, and never surrender to chaos. So do you believe Democrat rhetoric helped create the climate for these attacks? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments and share this report everywhere. Subscribe if you have not. And text raw feed to the number on the screen, 844-840-4963, to beat the algorithm suppression of our work and get a direct message from me to your phone. Check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Stay bold, stay informed, and keep fighting for America.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.